Hello friends, happy Monday. It is Mindset Monday Live. I'm going to give everyone a couple of seconds to get logged in here. If you're joining live, please say hello. If you are watching the replay, please say hello as well. And we're going to dive right in. This is a topic I've actually talked about before, and it's one that I think we need to chat about again. And the reason is because it's so critical to really understanding how mindset works and understanding the evidence that we find around us, okay? So it's a little bit of, it often kind of comes up as like a chicken and egg situation, like which came first. So let me get this shared over to my client group, and then we're going to dive right in. So the topic today is about your beliefs always being validated, right? Your beliefs are always validated in the world around you, whether you realize it or not, which means that every thought you think and the actual belief that you hold, you're going to find evidence for, right? So for a lot of people, we think, and for some people this is the case, we see evidence for something and then we develop a belief or we strengthen that belief. But what's actually happening is we have a belief and our brain wants to find evidence to correlate with that, to connect with it, to prove it. So you can have two people who have, similar experiences with money or relationships, but they have different beliefs about it. And so their experiences, what they are experiencing, the evidence that they're seeing is completely different. Does that make sense? So that's generally what's happening. So the reason this is important is because if you want to change your experience, if you want to change what you are seeing in the life around you, in your experience, in your life, in your money, in your relationships, in your job, then you need to start shifting what you're thinking. You need to start shifting what you believe. And I understand that it's not an easy shift, right? Because we are trained to believe what we see. We are trained to look for evidence first and then base our beliefs on the evidence. But when we're talking about mindset, if you want to change your experience, if you want to change your life, if you want to change your relationship with money or your relationship with other people or, your health, you have to start changing how you're thinking. You have to start expecting different things. So a case in point, I was having a conversation a couple months back with a client, and one of the stories, and this comes up with various people, we all have our stories, was that she doesn't finish things that she starts, right? She just doesn't, she's not a finisher. She doesn't finish the things that she starts. She has lots of evidence to support the idea that she doesn't finish things, which means that when she thinks about starting something, that story is in play. That belief is in play. So that belief is enough to stop her from starting anything new, even if she really wants to do it, excuse me, because the belief is that I don't finish things. So as we were moving forward, we had to really transform that thought that says, okay, in the past, maybe I didn't finish things. And maybe there are lots of reasons that I didn't finish it. Maybe it wasn't the right thing. Maybe I, had life stuff that came up. Maybe it was, the wrong path at the wrong time for me, like whatever the situation is. But don't make it about your identity, because when you put it on as an identity, this is who I am, then it makes it that much more impossible or difficult to change who you are, right? To change your behaviors, to change your the things that you're doing on a regular basis. So if you think something, if you say, I am an unhealthy person, I've always been unhealthy, or I'm terrible with money, I've always been terrible with money, but you want to change your financial situation, those things don't jive. So the inner story, if you're not changing the inner story, which is I'm bad with money, then it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how much money you earn. It doesn't matter how much money comes into your life, because you are convinced that you're bad with money. So you're going to see evidence for it. You're going to create situations unknowingly, subconsciously, that reinforce that belief. Okay? So one of the biggest tools, tips, strategies that I share with clients is simply, let's start looking for the evidence to support the counter. So if you, let's use the money situation, the example. If you think that you're bad with money and you have lots of evidence for that, start looking for ways that you're good with money. So there's two things you're going to do. You're going to, number one, start planting those beliefs with a regular belief practice. You're going to either do some journaling, have some mantras, have some moments where you're really reflecting and choosing different thoughts and beliefs. And then start looking for the evidence to support it, because your brain is such a powerful tool. It's also lazy. It's powerful and it's lazy. It's powerful because it can do so many things. It can create so many connections. It can help you see the evidence when you are pointed in the right direction. But it is lazy. It is going to sift and sort the information that we are receiving around us, the opportunities, and it automatically wants to latch on to a story or to evidence, information that already matches what we believe, right? So we have all kinds of information coming at us all day long, information, sensory information, things that we see, things that we're hearing, and our brain is sifting and sorting and saying, this is important, this is not important, and it takes shortcuts. So when you are dealing with money, it's creating a cohesive story between what you're experiencing and that story that you already have, because that takes less energy. That takes less work. Right? So this mindset stuff that I talk about, I call it the inner work. And I call it the inner work because it feels like work sometimes. Your brain doesn't necessarily always want to learn something new. It doesn't always want to change the story. It doesn't always want to change the dynamic. It wants to find things that are correlating and really cohesive to the story that's already there. But if you want to change your experience and you want to grow and evolve, then you have to be willing to shift and change that thought process, which means having those moments with yourself where you realize that you're telling a story that's not productive. You're telling a story that says you have to be alone, or that that you'll never get to that place, or that the only way you'll ever get there is fill in the blank. And because you don't believe that you can get whatever is in that blank, you don't think you can get there. And the brain says, got it. The brain automatically is going to disconnect from the opportunities, the people, the circumstances, the flyer that you might see. It's not going to take that on as important. But when you are in a space of choosing a different story, choosing a different inner working, right? Like inner dialogue, you're changing beliefs, you're practicing beliefs, you're activating these things on a regular basis, then you're seeing things differently because there is a connection. Does that make sense? And again, I know this is a challenge. It's a challenge. It's not always easy, but it works and it's powerful. So start looking at what you are seeing around you. And there's another piece to this that I want to share. There's another piece to this that I want to share. So as you're seeing these things around you, right? You're getting input from different places. You're getting all of this information. I want you to remember that that can be perceived, if you choose to see it this way, it can be perceived as old news, right? Like that thing that you see, that story that my client had of, I don't finish things, can be seen as an old story. It's an old manifestation. It's an old thing. It's not true anymore, because who you are today, how you think today, what you believe today is paving the way for the story that you hold tomorrow, for the experience that you have tomorrow, for the evidence that you find tomorrow. And I don't necessarily mean tomorrow always in 24 hours, right? But what you're thinking today matters because it's creating this pattern as you move forward. So what is it that you want to change? What do you want to see different evidence for in your life? Maybe it's related to money or your health or your community or relationships or a job or whatever. What is that for you? And then ask yourself, what do I need to change in terms of what I'm thinking and believing in order to shift the evidence that I'm seeing? Because if you're open to it, you'll start seeing the evidence much faster than you realize. It may not be the full-blown manifestation. It may not be the full-blown, all the money in the bank, all the relationship, opportunities out there. It may not show up in that way, but it will show up. I promise. Does that make sense? So your assignment today is to do two things. I want you to take sort of a inventory of what you're seeing. What is being validated in your experience? And if it helps, you can break it down into various categories and subjects in your life. So what are you seeing validated? What's your experience related to money, your health, your relationships, your self-care, your job, your community, your kids, whatever. What are you seeing as a whole? If you had to give it a name or give it one word to describe it, what are you seeing? Okay? And then take stock of what you're thinking that affirms and really correlates with that evidence. Are you thinking that there's always not enough, and so you always see not enough? Are you experiencing conflict in your relationship, and so you're thinking relationships just don't work for you, you're not cut out for them? Are you struggling with your health and you're saying, that's just not me, I'm just not a healthy person, that's not something that I'm always going to struggle with, this physical ailment, problem, situation? And then I want you to start shifting. What would you like to feel? What would you like to believe? What would you like to see validated around you? That's how this belief stuff works. And I'm not saying it's always easy. I'm saying it's always worth it. Okay? So, your beliefs are always, always, always going to be validated in the world around you. It's why two people can look at a situation, the exact same situation, why eyewitness situations don't always pan out, because they can look at two people can look at the same situation and walk away with a completely different story. Why? Because their beliefs are validated in that experience. The same thing happens for us. So what are you seeing that you want to change, and what do you need to believe in order to change that? Okay? Start shifting those beliefs. The other thing is, remember that if your beliefs are validated, no matter what they are, that means there's evidence for everything. So if you're seeing evidence for lack, there's also evidence for abundance. You're just not seeing it. So start looking for it. Excuse me. Does that make sense? Start looking for it. Start shifting your thoughts away from all these things are falling apart. This thing is hard. It's not working out for me. I can't see it. There's all these problems. I see no solutions. And start asking yourself, what's working out in my life? What is working? What is falling into place? What do I see? What do I choose to see? What do I choose to believe? And I know in, the last couple of years, like we've had isolation, we've had all kinds of disasters, and the world is like falling apart, and it is so hard to find evidence of goodness in this world. But I promise you it is there. And the more you and I align with that and look for that and create that and expect it, the more we're going to see it, the more we're going to experience it, the more it's going to kind of, it's going to have a ripple effect. Okay? I really believe in the power of us being connected. And when we shift and change our energy, our vibrations, and we're doing things in the world that matter, it's not just affecting us, it's affecting the whole. And we need that right now. Okay? So that is your assignment. Take an inventory of your beliefs. Take an inventory of what you're seeing around you, the evidence, and start shifting it. That's the belief work. That's what we're here for. That's what I'm here for. Okay? And if you have trouble with that, or if you have questions, specific questions about how to do that, or you're wondering, well, how do I shift this thing or that thing, and you want to kind of explore how to do that together, my door is open. Reach out to me, send me a message, check out my website, let's see if we're a good fit to work together, if that's where you want to go. You are absolutely capable of doing this. Can it be harder on your own? Yes. Can it take a little bit longer? For sure, but you can do it. It doesn't have to take a long time. Some people find that getting the support is like, the shortcut, the cheat code. So if that's something you're interested in, if that's something that would be beneficial to you, feel free to reach out. But in the meantime, if you're looking for additional resources, I have tons of information on my website. I have tons of videos on YouTube that will walk you through how to do this. So make sure you check that out, okay? All right, friends. Start looking for the ways that things are working out for you. Start telling a different story. If you don't already have a mindset practice, definitely connect and create one. And again, if you're looking for support, feel free to reach out and I'd love to connect with you. Okay? All right, so if you have questions about this or anything else that you'd like me to talk about, feel free to type it, share it in the comments below. As always, I'll be back on Thursday to talk about who knows what, whatever the theme of this week is, in my calls. And yeah, I'd love it, if you would share this, like this, save this, if it was helpful for you. Okay? Thank you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful Monday and a great rest of your week. Okay? Take care.